I'm back with Dr. Gad Saad. We're talking about his book, The Sad Truth About Happiness. Gad, one of the themes in the book that you stress, and I think rightly so, and it's particularly relevant perhaps to this younger generation coming up, although maybe all older generations sort of think this way, it is the importance of what you call anti-fragility. Now, we live in an age, as you know, where from campuses around the country, maybe around the world, they talk about safe spaces, don't trigger me, I need to feel comfortable, I need to be affirmed. And you say that all of this which is perhaps intended compassionately or out of a desire to please others, can nevertheless be a little dangerous. Why so?
Indeed. I like the fact, by the way, in several of your questions, you refer to the ancient Greeks. And I found out in doing my research for this book that almost every idea that I thought was novel to me, some ancient Greek guy had already said it 2,000 years ago, which is a big humbling exercise. To that point about anti-fragility, I start that chapter with a quote in the epigraph by Seneca, where I'm paraphrasing now, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, where he says that strong trees, the ones that establish deep roots, are precisely those that have been exposed to heavy wind stressors, because that makes them non-brittle. That's the explanation of what we mean by anti-fragility, which is a term that was introduced into the lexicon by a fellow Lebanese author, Nassim Taleb. But the concept has existed for thousands of years, right? Squeaky doors don't break. That which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's the whole encapsulation of what it means to be anti-fragile. If you brittle away, if I simply go boo, then that's probably not the way that you wish to tackle life. And so in that chapter, I give many, many examples of some of the greatest all-time performers in different domains. Lionel Messi was told that he's too small to be a professional soccer player. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school sophomore team. J.K. Rowling was rejected by every publisher until the last one who accepted her. Steven Spielberg was rejected not once, not twice, but 3 times at the USC Film School. Imagine if each of those folks had wilted away when they faced a litany of rejection. So you have to be anti-fragile to rejection. Anything that you try to tackle that is meaningful in life is going to be littered with minefields and obstacles. The champion is the one who's able to overcome them. And so that's what I mean by anti-fragility of failure.
And one lesson that one can draw from this on the campus is that even though these young people act like wilting flowers, it is good for them to be, I would say, not just exposed, but bombarded with ideas that they don't like, that challenge them. This happened to me at Dartmouth, for example. I was a kid from India in a very conventional frame of thinking, and I suddenly was kind of almost whipsawed with all these ideas, and I was like, who even thinks or talks about these things? I'm surprised you people have answers to things. I didn't even know these were even questions, but ultimately I found this extremely exhilarating and liberating. So we need free speech and open debate to develop anti-fragility, don't we?
Indeed. And just to link this concept of anti-fragility to another field in evolutionary medicine, there's the concept of what's called the hygiene hypothesis. I discussed this in my previous book, The Parasitic Mind. So if you take children who are either raised in an allergen-free environment, a very sterile environment, they're never exposed to pet dander, versus kids who grow up on a farm with tons of allergen, guess what happens, Dinesh? The one who grows up with a lot of allergens ends up having a lot lesser autoimmune disease, for example, asthma. Why? Because the immune system expects to face stressors in order for it to respond properly. So to the point about the students in universities, our critical thinking capacity expects to be exposed to allergen called opposing ideas. That teaches me how to be a better critical thinker. If I create that safe space, that sterile space where everybody agrees with me, I'm not shaping my thinking abilities to its maximum.
Let me ask you as we close about something that the Stoics believed. You mentioned Seneca, who was a Stoic. The Stoics believed, and I share this belief to a degree, Debbie will kind of chuckle when she hears me say this, that the way to go through life is to recognize that negative things are not as bad as they seem, But the converse of that is that positive things are not as great as they seem. And so the Stoics believe that a moderated response, so for example, you're suffering through something, don't overdo it, because it's not going to be so bad when you look at it in retrospect. You look back and go, you know what, I learned some stuff, I got through it. And similar, but I mean, it's also the case that sometimes when something seems great, people, I won the lottery, my whole life is going to be changed. That exhilaration is also momentary. So I guess I'm just affirming your point that there's a lot of ancient wisdom, and I'm really happy that you kind of cull it and pull it through the book, but then integrated with modern psychology, discoveries from recent surveys. And so the book becomes a kind of wonderful mix of the old and the new.
What an amazing, thank you so much for that summary, because that's exactly what I was going for. Having some personal anecdotes, because I think authors appreciate the audience appreciates learning about an author. So the book is peppered with my personal stories, backed up, as you said, by ancient wisdoms. And then here comes contemporary science to back up what they told us already 2,000 years ago. Put that together. Hopefully you've got a good read.
And it is a good read. The book is The Sad Truth About Happiness. The author, Dr. Gad Saad. Thanks so much, Gad, for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Dinesh. Great talking to you.
If aches and pains are your problem, Relief Factor is your remedy. Debbie and I started taking Relief Factor a couple of years ago, and what a difference we've seen in our joints. Nothing short of amazing. Aches and pains are totally gone thanks to this 100% drug-free solution called Relief Factor. How does it work? Relief Factor supports your body's fight against inflammation. That's the source of aches and pains. The vast majority of people who try Relief Factor order more because it works for them. Debbie's a true believer. She can now do all these exercises, push-ups, planks, and so on. For a long time, she wasn't able to do them. Relief Factor has been a big game changer for her, her aunt, other members of our family, Mike here in the studio, and for many other people. You too can benefit. Try it for yourself. Order the 3-week quick start for the discounted price of just $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com or call 800-4-RELIEF to find out more about this offer. The number again to call, 800-4-RELIEF, or go to relieffactor.com. Feel the difference.